Hi, I'm applying for the Creative Community Leadership Institute, and I'm answering the first question. Who are you? My name is Natalie Stites Means. My Lakota name is Wo'amachi Sutawi. I'm an enrolled member of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. I am also a mother and uh, a wife, and I work every day to be a good relative. Um, I identify with my tribal community. I also identify with all of the Ocheti Shakowee tribes here in South Dakota. And frankly, we can be enrolled in any number of them due to our heritage. My mother has dual enrollment, even though that's prohibited by federal regulations, with the Crow Creek Sioux tribe as well as the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. And then me and all my siblings are enrolled at Cheyenne River. Um, I also identify with the urban Indian community here in Rapid City in the mini Luzaha. And um, in in my official role, I'm starting in the HESAPA voter initiative, a voter engagement and civic engagement project for urban Indians here in Rapid City. And my unofficial roles, I think, are I am an advocate and I am an advisor. And every single day I am asked to help people due to my education and my background. Um, I did not become a lawyer, and I am no longer interested in doing that. The legal profession has completely failed the Indian people here in South Dakota, and I don't want to be a member of it. I have many friends in there too, and some of them are the good ones doing the good work, or actually most of them are. And but the professional responsibility basically creates it so that these attorneys can never ever step outside their roles in terms of their duties to their clients. And most everyone works for the tribes and then maybe the government, the state government, or maybe a city or a county or something like this. And so they're basically conflicted out of doing any type of public advocacy. And I really don't want to live with those type of constraints and professional duties and responsibilities. Um, but due to my background and due to my education, I'm often asked to help with people who have no resources for their own attorneys, and those are most of our Indian people. I'm passionate. Number two, what are you passionate about? I'm passionate about social justice. I am passionate about Indigenous justice. I am passionate about our Lakota thought and philosophy being the foundation upon which we build new visions for how we exist as a people. And that goes for how we are throughout the entire treaty territory. Not just in the prescribed boundaries or exterior boundaries of each reservation. What gets me up in the morning is my family, my passion for social justice. What keeps me up at night is probably my anxiety, but I often, like right before this video, I was helping to advise somebody who was aware of a child being removed by Rapid City Police Department and the CPS here earlier this evening without cause. Without cause as far as they were aware. And I was providing them with referrals. Um, and what do you do that gives you the most satisfaction? What gives me the most satisfaction is when people achieve justice and they're able to be free, they're able to be happy, they're able to thrive and prosper without the undue interference of white supremacist institutions like the criminal justice system, the child protection services, and even the educational institutions and the hospitals and the healthcare here. They're all traditionally white institutions that frankly are run by a strong group of organized white supremacists here. And I don't say that to be alarming. I don't say that to be inflammatory. I say that because I think that one key part in the leadership that is lacking is a reality check. We need to know who our opponents are. And we cannot ascribe good faith to the individuals who are entrusted with many of the public duties and services that we need as Lakota people. What do I envision myself 3 to 5 years from now? Well, I hope to be completing my first term as an advisor on the South Dakota Advisory Committee to the U.S. Civil Rights Commission. We're examining maternal death rates among Native Americans this year. And I hope to bring many of the issues that are going on in Rapid City as well as on the reservations in regards to civil rights to the attention of the committee throughout the course of that 4-year term. This is an unpaid position, and in fact, due to my student loans, I have a little garnishment, so I can even get mileage from that commission. That's great. But what do you want to be doing, impacting with whom? Again, I want to impact everybody, and I want to specifically impact and improve the lives of Indian people here in South Dakota. Also, if that can extend on a national level, I hope to do so as well. Um, how will you implement when you learn after the cohort ends? I hope to implement it concurrent to how I'm learning throughout the course of the Institute. I think that um, I'd like to describe a project. Now, question number 4 is describe a project or situation that you feel demonstrates the contributions you made to your community. I think that I, I stepped up and I became the first Native American woman to run for Rapid City Mayor. And I did that last year. I did that because I attended city council meetings that were discussing a panhandling ordinance that clearly was targeting Native Americans and the homeless. And it's part of sort of a national strategy to criminalize homeless people. And I think basically to create a level of suffering that will hopefully, in the hopes of these public policymakers, that will basically kill the homeless people off so that they don't have to deal with any type of housing issues or services for them any longer. The tourist industry has a huge interest in erasing homeless Native Americans, and that came through last year by engaging with the Rapid City Council and realizing that the blinders of racism were so strong that they couldn't see past. They saw all of us as homeless people. They saw all of us as inferior. They didn't care about my Juris Doctor. They didn't care about the educated advocates. They didn't care about the former homeless people who were talking about, hey, this ordinance is not going to be good. None of that was regarded. And what I learned is that when you look into the eyes of a racist here in Rapid City, it becomes very clear where you stand with them. And so I feel that that situation was one in which we were sitting there and we realized that it was election time. And we decided right there in the city council meeting, I was sitting next to Carissa Lohman, who ended up being a campaign manager for one of the candidates, and Chante Hart, who herself ended up running for city council for Ward 5. I initially offered myself as a candidate in Ward 2, but there was another great candidate, Rona Harrington, who I wanted to run. And I thought that it was important that if we were going to make this effort to make history as the first Lakota women and Dakota women to be running for municipal office here in Rapid City, that we needed to have a mayoral candidate. And after I called, I asked everyone I knew who I thought would be lived here and is a great person and a professional or, an educator or whomever. And basically I was turned down across the board. And I realized that this was a situation where I needed to be the one to step up. And so I did. And I asked the group that was emerging if they would support me running for mayor. And the reason why I thought it was important strategically was so that we would find out, what does a citywide candidate do? How can we influence? What are our numbers? I won 25% of the vote. I won 1 out of 5 wards here in the city. And and I think that I ran a campaign that my people could be proud of. And I introduced myself to the Rapid City community by running for office. And I did it because I felt that there was so much white supremacy, white male supremacy in particular, but white supremacy generally, that we were up against when we were advocating for the homeless people. And that wasn't going to go away. And that we, as Lakota people, and if this were what this system was set out to be, we would have a seat on city council. We would have 2 seats on city council, actually. We would have a seat on the county commission. And we would at least have 1 or 2 state legislative districts in order to elect Native American representatives. But we have none of that. We're right here in 2020. The HISAPA Voter Initiative Project that I'm getting organized is going to be focusing on census activities as well. And anyway, I feel like I stepped up and 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 all of us women who stepped up as Lakota women to run for office, I think that we made our community proud and we gave hope to a lot of people. And it was really humbling to do that, to put myself out there and almost universally be embraced. Now, the elite people in Rapid City, there are a number of Native Americans here who enjoy a middle class or upper middle class lifestyle, um, and who hold positions in the current power structure that they, will protect at all costs. And so they still made their their they made their sort of moves to try to, discredit our candidacies, question our qualifications, and even question our abilities. And I saw that come through. And what we did is we were called by Lake She Crow Dog, and provided with spiritual advice on how to proceed in the election and to protect ourselves from what those of us in the community know is a really violent form of racism here in Rapid City. The nickname is Racist City in our community. So number 5 is how do you think arts, culture, and community intersect? I mean, they don't just intersect, they are one of the same. There is no community without the culture. There's no culture without the art. I think that when our people have the resources to express themselves creatively, that can be healing to people, and that can help to overcome all the traumas that we experience. When I came to South Dakota, I didn't think that I would become part of these statistics. I didn't think that things like premature birth infant mortality would affect me personally. I thought somehow I would have transcended that, but that's not true. I didn't. Our family, my family, there's people, loved ones who are dealing with the very serious issues that are always in the papers every day. But that creates trauma, and we need more resources in order to be able to address these issues. Why are you interested in the program now? I think I've already covered that, and what do you hope to gain? I hope to gain a new network of people. I think I know a lot of people here in South Dakota and throughout the Dakotas. After Standing Rock emerged, it was during Standing Rock that I realized there was, like about 100 of us Indigenous women in the region who had a significant and influential social media following, and we were the ones who were getting it out about what was happening on the ground. And I saw a glimpse. I think Mark Tilson is the poet who says this, a glimpse of freedom. And I shared in that glimpse. And I want it again for our people. Lastly, what I'd like you to know, and I'm about a minute and a half, and maybe you can take off some minutes for naming the questions, I don't know, but the other thing that I want you to know about me is that last year, during our advocacy at the Rapid City Council that led to us running for office because those doors were shut and those minds were closed, I let a friend know, my nephew, Talon Douche, know, who's an MC, he's a rapper, he's a hip-hop artist, and he gained his education at the University of Pennsylvania and came back to work for his people and is living in poverty just like me to do so. He heard my speech at the city council meeting, and he sampled it, and it's called Ordinance 6303, and it's on SoundCloud. Anyone can listen to it. And he sampled my speech, and he did a whole song about Rapid City and the way that it treats its Lakota people and the way that it treats the homeless, and the irony that any Lakota can be homeless in their own homelands. So I want, and what was funny is that there were some other opportunists who then went to him after he released the song, and like I was just surprised to be sampled, and he's like, hey, you inspired me, and I'm including your speech in this part, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't even think about that. But all of us, right? I mean, that art, the songs, that's part of our culture. There is a song for everything we do. There is a song for all of our relationships. There's a song for raising a new house. There's a song for a new child. There's a song for piercings. There's prayer songs. There's so much where the arts intersect with our advocacy. And so I'm really proud of that song. I'm really proud and honored to have been sampled and to have inspired an artist. And I included Talon in performances throughout the campaign and on election night. And I helped get him together with another artist, and they've created some performance art that Tawny Gordon and him, and they, and I helped to bring that together, and I'm really proud of that. And I want you to know that the arts, the culture, and the leadership are all tied together, and we need to take that holistic approach to our advocacy and our leadership. We cannot leave our people behind, and we cannot acknowledge our traditional thought and philosophy, which is often embodied within these songs and within the music, within our creative expression, within what we sew and what we make with our hands, and also what we pray for. So with that, I've taken 16 minutes now, and I hope that this is still acceptable to the committee, and I hope you will seriously consider my application and know that should you select me, we're going to get some things done, and I will be an asset to your institute. As much as I get from it, I will provide to it in a reciprocal manner. And I think that understanding all of these complex relationships in our communities is key to our future, a prosperous future, a thriving future, and one in which that we really understand what it is that we're up against here in South Dakota, and that we organize effectively to overcome it, instead of attributing good faith to actors who display none of that. And I think the urgency of the situation requires urgent, creative responses. And I've already started to do that in my life, and I would hope to gain the support of the Institute in order to continue to do that in a more formal and high profile and more effective ways for the future. So thank you for your time, and I hope that I didn't kill my application with the length of this application, but we got to get it updated and we only have about 10 minutes. So thank you.